Daddy's World trinkets are... well, they're there, that's one thing. About a month ago, I made a video revamping the entire trinket system, and it blew up, so I decided to make a follow-up to that video. You'll probably be pretty confused throughout this video if you haven't watched the previous one, so go watch that one if you haven't already, link in the description. I got a ton of comments, and even though it's difficult to sort through all of them, I did try to read everything, especially the critiques so I could improve the system with what people wanted. So let's do some housekeeping, okay? First off, I wanted to address the comments saying, "This wouldn't fix the meta." I got a lot of comments about it, most of them being quite rude and even insulting my intelligence, which was really amusing to be honest. So I apologize if I didn't explain myself too well in the original video, but the intention of the rework wasn't to stop the meta entirely. I don't think it's ever a good idea to destroy the meta in a game. If the system rework made magnifying glass unusable with V-mode, that would be catastrophic and cause tons of people to get angry. Especially because, as much as I complained about the lack of variety, mag glass and V-mode are popular together because they feel good to use. So, not only are those trinkets the most effective tactic available in group runs, they also just make the game feel good. So, forcing players to not be able to run them anymore for the sake of variety would be very bad. My problem was never with there being a meta in the first place. I think it's healthy for the game to have a meta. My problem was with the fact the meta feels like the only option, even in casual runs. Switching out the extraction-based trinkets for more fun niche ones doesn't feel worth it because the power gap between the trinkets is too large and 2 slots are too competitive. The rework was always meant to cater to casual players, making it so the trinkets' values got more equalized, not nerfing the meta, but giving help to the more ignored and unused trinkets to pull them closer to it. Not of the intention to destroy the meta, but to make it feel less bad to not run the meta. Does that make sense? Organized pro runs will definitely still run mag glass and V-mode, but that's fine. The rework isn't for them. The rework is for players like you and me who hop on with friends to have a good time or join matchmaking runs to play their favorite tune. I do genuinely apologize if there was a miscommunication, because I did dig a lot at the meta in the video, which I do realize is probably where the misconception that I was trying to kill the meta came from. I'll be more mindful about the way I present information in the future to avoid this happening again. If that doesn't make sense, feel free to leave a hate comment and call me stupid or whatever. I'd rather you make yourself known so I can block you sooner, teehee. But just to clarify further, I'm not against critiques. There are some genuinely great and insightful comments that disagreed with my trinket concept and relayed their points in a civil manner, and honestly, even though I disagree with some of their points, that doesn't invalidate their opinions in the slightest. You're entitled to your opinion, just don't be rude in the comments. That's all I ask in every single one of my videos. I swear this entire video isn't gonna be me defending myself. I have some actual adjustments based on feedback, so let's go to them now. A lot of people suggested I turn Clown Horn and Ribbon Spool into 2-slot trinkets, with the logic being that they're only really good in a coordinated team and having 2 people use one of each. The players should get rewarded for the riskier strategy, since if one of the distractors goes down, the other one is very crippled. So yeah, I agree, let's make Clown Horn and Ribbon Spool 2-slot trinkets. A similar sentiment came forward for Speedy Shoes. I put it in 3 slots because it's kind of half of the distraction meta, at least before Train Whistle came out, but most people's arguments were that it's more of a new player-friendly trinket, and that on its own it's pretty weak and only good when paired with Dog Plush. And especially considering the fact that you can still distract with just Dog Plush, I decided to agree and turn it into a 2-slot trinket as well. Some people also opened my eyes to the joys of Vanity Mirror, and honestly, I'll admit, I was really sleeping on it when I made my original video. I kinda brushed it off as a trinket that isn't used often. A lot of people came to its defense, and after trying it out for myself, I see why. It is a really good trinket, and I don't know why I was ignoring it so much. So, I'm torn. I do see its power, but it still falls into that unreliable category that would make them 1 slot. And also, considering it's so useful on slow tunes, making it take up more slots would be a pain for them. I do agree that it's a good trinket now, but I think I'll keep it as 1 slot. I think it's really good in its niche, but its niche is small enough that I can justify 1 slot without it being too OP, since if a tune is fast, you don't really need it that much, and it only works in panic mode as well. Some other comments also brought up Coal and Brick, and yeah, I didn't add them in the original video. I honestly had no clue what to do with them. I considered 1 slot since they're bad, and it'd give room for Quell to release 6 entire nerf trinkets for the ultimate challenge. Same for 2 slots, but give room for 1 more nerf trinket. But another suggestion I saw that I liked was make them give you more slots, so if you have them on, they don't become just nerf trinkets, they actually give you more trinket space while nerfing your stats. So here's what I did. When you equip Brick, it doesn't occupy any slots, and you'll see in your UI that the 7th trinket slot has been open. Same for Cole, but since Cole's debuffs are more dangerous, lowering your stealth as well as your movement, I'll have it give you 2 slots instead. I do get the stealth debuff might actually be good for certain tunes, so if Cole is too strong it can be nerfed back down to 1 slot together with Brick, so with this concept they can still serve as challenge trinkets while still giving them a cool risk versus reward aspect. So those are the changes to the previous stuff I've stated. Now, let's get to reworking some trinkets! A lot of people pointed to Paint Bucket and said that it should be a 1-slot trinket because of its general uselessness, and yeah, I agree, it's awful. But as I said in the pinned comment, 1-slot trinket should be reserved exclusively for trinkets that can't reliably increase your speed or extraction. Paint Bucket is supposed to be a side grade to participation award. I say side grade because I think what Quell is going for is that award makes skill checks harder but increases a chance by a lot, while Paint Bucket increases a chance much less but makes skill checks easier, so it's like thinking cap and awards diluted into 1 trinket. But I really think she was too cautious with the numbers. 5% is basically nothing. Check out these calculations. It doesn't help much in extraction time, not to mention 5% size is negligible for the tunes that actually want it. Make it 15% for both. 15% skill check chance will actually make a noticeable difference in extraction, and 15% skill check size will be a bigger improvement in contrast to 10% reduction from award. It would still be behind participation award, since I think that's where it belongs, being a trade-off trinket that gives more things but in less quantity to award. But with 15%, the buff would actually be, you know, noticeable, and it would become viable on tunes with small skill check for some players who have trouble with them. I know I'd use it on Blood instead of thinking cap or mind makeup if it was real.
I wish I could hang, guys, but I gotta go hit the books. Aww. Okay, let's hang. Yeah!
Machine Manual is in the same bucket as, well, Paint Bucket. It's a really neat trinket, but it's just really bad. Look at how little of a difference it makes in Poppy's extraction time compared to Magnifying Glass. Boy, I sure do love spending 1 less second on the machine. Look at how much time I'm saving. But yeah, even in a theoretical 5-star extraction, 1-star skill check tune, like my Blot rework, go check that video out, wink wink, it's not very good. Magnifying Glass by itself literally still outpaces it even if you run it with bandana, which is awful. I'm gonna talk more about this in the blue bandana segment, but Magnifying Glass being so powerful really undermines every other extraction trinket. I don't think we should nerf Magnifying Glass though. The game feels good with Magnifying Glass, that's the thing. The pace this stupid trinket brings feels good, and it doesn't feel good to spend forever on a machine. So let's just give more power to potentially weak trinkets, shall we? For my change to Machine Manual, honestly, make it a 15% increase to extraction. Just straight up, 15%. It still won't be better than Magnifying Glass, but again, Magnifying Glass is a trade-off trinket, sacrificing skill check size for enhanced value. But with this buff, Manual will actually be a noticeable and usable increase compared to 5%. On to Blue Bandana because, oh boy, I have a lot to say about this one. Blue Bandana feels like it was intended to be a counterpart to Magnifying Glass, making it so you get less skill check chance but more extraction, but not only does it lose something that's actually important for machine times, which hurts its effectiveness already, its increase isn't even that good to begin with. 7.5% increase to extraction is frankly pathetic. Magnifying Glass increases skill check value by a flat 1.75 units, which is like 3.5 stars. Even tunes where bandana should shine, like high extraction, low skill check tunes, magnifying glass with a skill check quality of life trinket like my makeup still wipes the floor with them. So here's my proposed change. Instead of increasing extraction by 7.5%, increase it by 30%. Now, hear me out. It sounds really strong, but if my calculations are correct, 30% would put it right in the sweet spot where it can be balanced with magnifying glass. On tunes of low skill check and high extraction, blue bandana pulls through in being the better option, while in tunes of bigger skill checks and lower extraction, magnifying glass is the way to go. What would this exactly do? Well, it'd provide an alternative to magnifying glass for tunes like Glisten and Flight, not having to sacrifice their already small skill checks and instead sacrificing skill check chance. Now, could you theoretically use these two together? Yeah, I guess it'd be an option, but considering Blue Bandana actively steps on Magnifying Glass's toes of its skill check reduction, it's actually not as good as you think. With this change, Blue Bandana can be officially promoted into 3 slots, so if you want to use them together for efficiency, it's like with Emote, you can't use anything else. But look, I did the math, and with all my reworks taken into account, it's slightly faster to use Paint Bucket, Participation Award, and Machine Manual together instead of Magnifying Glass and Bandana, which is a possible setup with my Trinket rework since those 3 are all 2-slot trinkets, but you didn't hear it from me. This is what I mean by opening up options for players.
Drac, you ready to throw down?
No, I just came closer to hear you better.
Oh, come on, just give it a try.
All right, maybe just a little.
I've been dreaming of this moment every night throughout the year. Now
Blushy pad is awful. Genuinely, I hate trinkets whose requirement is getting hit. This is not Dolly's factory. Health is a valuable resource in Dandy's world. If you want me to lose health to trigger an effect, the effect better be worth it. But in Blushy Bat's case, I actually don't mind it being bad that much. It's a beginner trinket after all. Most players get it as their first, since it's granted for free. So it being kind of a training wheel sort of trinket is neat, but I wanted to talk about Blushy Bat because some people mentioned it in the last video. I do have one proposed change though. Blushy Bat's effect extends to teammates near you. That's it. It's just if you're close to a teammate who gets hit, the Twisted will be stunned for longer. I feel like this is a nice buff that doesn't take away the usefulness of it for new players, while still giving it a fun support capability for veterans. It's not much, but I think Blushy Bat is in a good spot for how early in the game you obtain it. Oh my god, Soul Sword is so cool, but so bad, man. The idea of a trinket that debuffs Twisted Speed sounds awesome, and it would bring up an opportunity for supports to shine by helping distractors by debuffing certain Twisteds. But then you actually read the description and 30 seconds of slow. For losing a heart. An entire heart. If you didn't catch on already, this is bad. Very bad, in fact. As I mentioned earlier, health is a very limited resource in Dandy's world. Even if you had a Sprout who is loaded with cash, you can't break even if you intend on using this trinket regularly. It's kind of a Blushy Bat too, a crutch, something to help new players, I guess, but it's Sylvester's trinket, who's a holiday tune only available during Halloween, so like, who is this trinket helping? Like, only the people who join right as the Halloween event is happening, I guess, but compared to Blushy Bat helping everyone, that's barely anyone. Sorry for getting so angry there, I'm just really passionate about feminism. But anyway, here's my change. Soul Sword's debuff now lasts forever. This may seem broken, and it'd be a little broken, but remember, you're losing a heart for it, and it's not actually forever, since when the floor changes, the Twisted will despawn and the debuff will disappear. But I think the debuff lasting an entire floor will make losing a heart actually feel worth it. In my trinket system rework, I made it a 1-slot trinket, frankly because of how useless it is, but if this change went into effect, it'd be a 2-slot trinket, maybe even 3 if it ends up being too strong, which, to be fair, it might. But honestly, this game needs more broken trinkets outside of the current finish machine instantly and walk fast. Really, we need some good utility trinkets. And it's not like in long runs you can reliably use it on every twist at every floor. You're still limited by how much your healers can keep up with your health loss. So realistically, you're only using it on the true dangers like Pebble or maybe V. Maybe even Dial if you have a death wish.
Hello, my great kings. Come and fight me.
I'm not changing cardboard armor itself, but I mentioned in the original Trinket system rework that system would allow new players to use cardboard armor as they learn to deal with scraps and goob. And yeah, I completely forgot you need full research on both of them to get cardboard armor in the first place, which, frankly, that's so dumb. This trinket is the epitome of crutch to help new players, and they just put it behind full research on both of them? Ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. Don't change the trinket itself, just make it cost like 600 ichor with no other requirements. New players need this more than us.
Hey, how much money do you have?
30 tapes.
You know what that means.
I don't have enough money for...
Medkit.
Coin purse is an awesome and meta Oh my god. Okay, so this will sound dumb, but make it give you 100 tapes at the start of the round and end it at that. For all its faults, Fancy Purse is pretty useful for getting Mastery on Sprout, Ginger, and Tegan thanks to it giving tapes instantly, and yeah, it'll be kinda bad, but it's a one-slot trinket and just utility, so let people use their coin purse, it's whatever. I swear my change to Fancy Purse is better, I just had no idea what to do with this piece of garbage, so I just gave it the role Fancy Purse currently has, so Fancy Purse gets to be more interesting.
Driver,
Yes, madam?
take me to Chanel.
Chanel?
I'm talking right fucking now.
Right now.
Call a king.
Fancy Purse is only good to get Master on Sprout, Ginger, and Tegan, and if you think it's actually a good trinket, no it isn't. You're either just a child who doesn't understand the concept of long-term investment, or you're just so bad at the game you haven't gotten to the part where Fancy Purse becomes useless to your run. Some people try to defend Fancy Purse because it helps you get an early heal in matchmaking, but like, you can farm tapes so fast anyway, it does nothing. And who cares if you get one heal early? If someone's taking damage on floor 1, a single heal isn't gonna save the run. You're definitely better off just picking better trinkets and letting all the bad people die out and save the tapes to heal the actual good players that will stick with you until higher floors. I know it sounds rude, but it's just the truth. You're better off getting something that will contribute more as you go, instead of something that only contributes once at the start, and then it's basically a dead slot the rest of the way. Like, yeah, it helps you get an early heal in matchmaking, but after that, what does it give you? Nothing. And what if it's a good run, you enter a Fancy Purse and no one takes damage early, and then you have like 500 tapes when someone takes damage? Like, what did Fancy Purse do in that situation? But yeah, for my change, Fancy Purse will no longer give you instant tapes at the start, since that's now Coin Purse's entire purpose. Fancy Purse is now a better trinket. Fancy Purse will now give you interest on your tapes. At the end of every floor, your tapes will be increased by 10%. So if you have 100 tapes, you'll get 10 extra tapes. If you have 200, you get 20, etc, etc. This only applies at the end of the floor, and it happens right after you get the tapes for finishing the floor as well. Maybe there could be a little cha-ching sound when you get money from it or something, I don't know. This trinket would actually be super good on tape-relying tunes, since its value gets higher and higher the more tapes you gather, since it's a multiplication based on the amount of tapes you have at the end of any given floor. And it'd create a fun dynamic for tape tunes, since using their abilities would reduce their tapes and make them receive less at the end of the floor. But this is what I mean when I say trinkets need to be good. We need good trinkets, and I think this is what Fancy Purse needs to actually be the GOAT for Sprout, like every new player thinks it is. It isn't.
Fishermen, we're making a difference. Let's keep posting quality fish releases using this audio and the hashtag #IRespectFish. And let's show the
Fishing Rod is kind of the same principle as Fancy Purse. Trinkets that just do one thing at the start and then do nothing, they're just bad, no other way to put it. Like, if you want a trinket that gives you items, just use Crayon Set. So even with the Trinket rework, Fishing Rod is pretty useless. The only thing it has over Crayon Set is the ability to give you items from the rarer tier, but you only get 3 rolls of that. So here's my change. Ditch the start of items gimmick entirely, now it has a new thing. Every time you complete a machine, you receive a common tier item. Every 10 machines, there's a chance it'll be uncommon or rare instead of common. Dandy Shop items are included. This will make it an alternative to Crayon Set, giving you a more consistent influx of items, but most of them being common items, while Crayon Set guarantees an uncommon every floor. The roll on the 10th machine would exclude commons from the pool, so it's guaranteed to be either uncommon or rare. Poor Bassie. What's with holiday mains getting worthless trinkets? I guess Gordy broke the cycle, but it's mostly useful on Cosmo, not Gordy himself. And Bobette's had to be reworked to fulfill a different niche entirely. But Whispering Flower is just... ouch. I made a poll in my community tab to decide whether to keep its effect as finding items but make it good or do something else entirely, and the post was majority into make something else entirely, so let's do that. I considered at first making it something to do with picking up items. I even thought something like gaining a stat based on how many items you grab up to a cap, but I realized if it's not timed, Bassie would completely break it with her ability, so that's off the cards. So I went with a different approach. I still wanted it to work with Bassie because it's what feels right, so here goes. Increases skill check chance by 5% and size by 15 units per item in the user's inventory. This is a gimmicky one, but I think it could be interesting. At a baseline, it's worse than Paint Bucket and Thinking Cap, only outcompeting it if you have a full inventory. And it only outcompetes it in terms of size. In extraction time, it's identical to Paint Bucket. Bassie, of course, would get the best value out of this trinket, with her passive allowing her to get 4 stacks on it, while other toons can only get 3. This would be usable, but perhaps questionable on most toons, due to the fact that you wouldn't be able to use items without losing value on it, which means either giving up your value on your trinket or not using extraction items at all, but Bassie can make great use of it. It's balanced as an alternative to Paint Bucket that offers the same extraction time boost and a bigger skill check boost in exchange for having a limitation put on you. This reworked Whispering Flower would make it a good choice in many players' builds, but with its power locked behind having a full inventory, that also creates an interesting weakness for players. Should they consume their items, their skill check buff disappears, so the toons have to keep stuff on them at all times and be careful when they consume them, because if they can't find any items to pick up after losing one of them, the trinket effectively becomes null, and you'd be better off just running Paint Bucket. With this change, Whispering Flower would become a 2-slot trinket in my trinket system rework, since it affects extraction time somewhat reliably. So yeah, those are my trinket reworks. Some of them are very gimmicky, but I tried my best to make them better without taking away what makes them unique, except for Flower, but that one was voted on by you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you like it, be sure to like the video, subscribe if you'd like more Dandy's World content from me. It doesn't cost anything and it helps a ton. Anyway, thanks for listening to me yap about Dandy's World once again. Goodbye.